What's up, guys? Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with an EDH deck tech. Today's deck tech will be for Ghave, Guru of Spores, and it'll be a STAX archetype deck. Now I'm going to go over what a STAX deck is in just a moment, but this is a deck that Sterling Knight requested to us, and he didn't actually ask for a Ghave deck. He just asked for a deck built around the card Smokestack, which is the epitome of what a STAX deck is. So basically, a STAX deck is a deck where it's basically a control deck, but through resource denial. So it's not your traditional control deck where you're just going to counter their spells and kill all the creatures and control the board. You're going to do it through permanence, because you're going to have permanents that hurt everyone, hurt their hands, hurt their lands, hurt their creatures. So you want your permanents to also outpace that, because they're going to hurt you as well. So it's a cool archetype. It's pretty. You really have to really know the deck and know what you want to get accomplished to have it be effective. But I feel personally that green, white, black are the best colors for it. They really bring a lot to the table for what you need to do. And I don't really feel like blue brings a lot to the table besides counterspells, and counterspells aren't really in the theme of STAX. But the general we picked is Ghave, Guru of Spores. He is a 5-cost 0/0, but he comes into play with 5 +1/+1 counters. So he's basically a 5-cost 5/5. You can pay 1 to remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control to put a 1/1 green sapling creature token onto the battlefield, and you can pay 1 to sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 counter onto target creature. So it's really good for combat tricks and control through some of our enchantments. So we're gonna go over the deck real quick. We're gonna start with the lands. So we have Blossoming Sands, Bajuka Bog, Canopy Vista, Command Tower, 4 Forests, Guiltleaf Palace, Godless Shrine, Golgari Guildgate, Golgari Rot Farm, Greypelt Refuge, Isolated Chapel, Jungle Hollow, Mirren the Moaning Well, Mosswort Bridge, Murmuring Bosque, Orzhov Basilica, Orzhov Guildgate, Overgrown Tomb, 4 Plains, Razor Verge Thicket, Sandstep Citadel, Skyward Barrens, Selesnya Guildgate, Selesnya Sanctuary, Shambling Vent, Stirring Wildwood, Sunpetal Grove, 3 Swamps, a Thespian Stage, and a Vesuva. Now, one of our key lands is really Mirren the Moaning Well, and that's to be able to sacrifice a creature to add life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness to our life total, because we do have some things excuse me, that are going to be dwindling our own life total, and this is a way to sort of offset that. So as far as instance, not a lot in the way of instance in this deck, as we really are going for a permanent-based control kind of theme. So first up we have Hero's Downfall, Mortify, Putrefy, and Utter End. And I do love, personally, the new art from Mortify and Putrefy. I think it's a really aggressive and stylized art, and I really like that. For sorceries, we're running Down and Dirty, mostly for the dirty part, because it's a Recollect, Genesis Wave, Maelstrom Pulse, Recollect, Regrowth, and Vindicate. And then for creature, we'll go over the artifacts next. Chromatic Lantern to Mana Fix, Contagion Clasp, and Contagion Engine, both because they're going to do what they do very well, and that's what they're going to proliferate. And we do run a lot of Planeswalkers, so that's really going to be helpful. Smokestack. So this is the card that the deck is more or less built around. Well, this sort of idea, not necessarily around this card, but the idea of this card. So the way Smokestack works is at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on Smokestack. And then the other ability it has is at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. So basically, it starts with doing nothing, has to make it back to your turn. You then put a soot counter on it, and then once you pass turn, the next player has to sacrifice something. The player after that has to sacrifice something. It comes back to your turn. You have to sacrifice something. Then you can also put another counter on it and get it up to 2. I usually leave it around 3 is where I like to have it, sitting at 3 counters, and just use the generalized token production I have to feed it. And then if I'm generating 3 tokens a turn, but my opponents are all losing 3 tokens or 3 things a turn, it very quickly ends the game. And then you can also sacrifice it to its own ability when you're ready to end the process and sort of just go in for the win. We have Soul Ring for some mana, Shrine of Resonator to copy any triggered ability, like, say, Smokestacks. Tanglewire. Tanglewire is just a fun card. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. So basically what we want to do with Tangle Wire is when it comes in, we want to start adding counters to it, either with Proliferate, Doubling Season. We want more counters on it is what we really want. So we want to keep putting counters on it and putting counters on it just so that it keeps tapping down our opponent's stuff. And our stuff as well, but like I said, we're really going for permanent base control, not necessarily mana intensive control, so that won't matter. And then Winter Orb. 2 mana for an artifact. As long as Winter Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 1 land during their untap steps. Pretty cool. It does what it does very well. Really slows this game down to a snail's pace. And also, if your opponents can't untap lands, they can't answer your permanents, and that's a huge thing. So as you can see now, we have a lot of enchantments, because this is really enchantment heavy. So I'm going to go over those next. First up, we have Attrition. 3 cost, sacrifice a creature to destroy target non-black creature. Aura Shards. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's going to work well. These first 2 enchantments, Attrition and Aura Shards, are going to work very well with our ability to generate tokens. Then we have Awakening Zone, which is going to generate a token for free every turn, and we can sacrifice that creature for mana. Bitter Blossom is going to also give us a creature for free every turn, and we'll lose a life, but that's okay. Karthar's Crusade is in here because it really works very well with Ghave. So if Ghave is out, we can pay 1 with Ghave, remove a counter from him to put a 1/1 Sapling into play. Karthar's Crusade is going to see that creature come in and put a +1/+1 counter back onto every creature we have, so Ghave essentially gets his counter back. So what that allows us to do is pay 1 to just put a creature into play and make the rest of our creatures a little stronger. It's one of our late game win conditions. Then we have Contamination, a 3-cost enchantment. During your upkeep, sacrifice a creature or sacrifice Contamination. Whenever a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of its normal type and amount. So what's nice about this is if they have something down that's going to tap for 3 mana, it's going to tap for 1 black instead. And if they're not playing black, they're only going to get colorless mana, so you're going to cripple them, and that's really nice. Then we have Debtor's Knell for some res. Descent into Madness, another one of the STAX type effects. This says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a despair counter on Descent into Madness. Then each player exiles X permanents he or she controls, and or cards from his hand, where X is the number of despair counters on Descent into Madness. So this gets increasingly devastating as the game goes on, and I've seen this thing with 5 or 6 counters on it, and it's hellacious to play against. They have Dictator of Erebos, which is a Grave Pack style effect. Doubling Season to double the things. From Beyond is a better version of Awakening Zone. Gibbering Descent is very similar to Descent into Madness, but this just says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 1 life and discards a card, and if we're hellbent, we skip our upkeep. Now, this card is key for us, because once we can get to being hellbent, we can now skip our upkeep, so our Winter Orb doesn't affect us. Winter Orb still affects us, but our Smokestack doesn't affect us, our Descent into Madness doesn't affect us, our Gibbering Descent doesn't affect us. A lot of our things will stop affecting us, but they'll still affect the opponents, and that's huge. We have Grave Pact, Mana Reflection, Martyr's Bond, Mind Slash, which is similar to Attrition, but this lets us attack their hand instead of their board, Mobilization, Oversold Cemetery, Palace Siege, Parallel Lives, and Primal Vigor. So pretty much what our enchantments do is give us either a bit of control, or a bit of token generation, or a bit of resurrection. That's more or less what we need. We only have a small creature package at 11, as we do have a bunch of token production. So the creatures we run are Aberrant Overlord, because when he comes in, he brings guys with him. Acidic Slime, because he'll break all the toys. Angel of Despair breaks all the toys. Archon of Justice exiles toys. Ashen Rider will exile 2 toys. Eternal Witness brings back the things. Grave Titan brings guys. Green Warden of Marasa is Eternal Witness's bigger, meaner cousin. Nicasia Unhallowed, because the Undying is very nice. Terastodon to break their stuff, and Woodfall Promise to also break their stuff. So, as you can see, the creature package we have is very small, but it's very effective. And then where we get a lot of our control from is our Planeswalker package. So we start off with Elspeth Knight Errant, the original. We're pretty much going to be using her for the put a 1/1 soldier into play. That's put a 1/1 soldier, put a 1/1 soldier, put a 1/1 soldier, and that's what we want to be doing with her, is just continually putting soldiers in. Her emblem to make everything indestructible. If we happen to get up to it, it's good, but we run a lot of sacrifice effects, so it's not super effective for us, but it still is not bad to have. Then we have Elspeth Sun Champion. We will mostly be using her for the +1 to put 3 1/1 white soldiers into play. And that's really nice. That's pretty much why she's in here. Then we have Freyalise. Again, token generation. She's more or less in there for the putting in the green elves that can tap for mana, because the elves that can tap for mana is going to offset our Winter Orb a little bit. Plus, we can destroy artifacts and enchantments with her, and we can draw a card for every green creature we control. So she has so many abilities that really help us out. Garruk Apex Predator is really in there for the removal, because if we +1 him, we can destroy a Planeswalker. If we also +1 him, we can put in a beast token, and then we can -3 to destroy a target creature and gain life. And then his ultimate really doesn't matter for us about getting the +5/+5. That's not really important. He's mostly in there for the destroying Planeswalkers, destroying creatures, and getting tokens. That's really what he's in there for. Same thing with Garruk Relentless. He's mostly in there for the 0 to put a 2/2 green wolf into play. We just want to get the wolf and the wolf and the wolf. Really just to be able to spit out tokens. Card Liberated. He has the +4 to target player exiles a card from his or her hand, or the -3 to exile target permanent. He's mostly in there for the exiling of a permanent. Get rid of those problem permanents really quickly. Liliana of the Dark Realm. She has great modes. I think she's really underutilized. For $6, I think she might be worth a little. I think she should have been worth a little more. But her +1/+1 to tutor for a swamp. We want to hit our land drops. Her -3 to give a creature a -X/-X, and her -6 that our lands all tap for, our swamps all tap for 4 black. Those are all great modes. Every one of them are going to help us out very, very much. Then we have Obnixilis Reignited, 5-cost Planeswalker. We can +1 him to draw a card and lose 1 life. We can -3 to destroy target creature. And we can -8 to target opponent. Target opponent gets an emblem with whenever that player draws a card, you lose 2 life. We're mostly using him for destroying target creature and the drawing cards. Then we have Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. He can +1 to generate a 1/1 black vampire. He can -2 to give us an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. And he can -6 to do a bunch of other stuff. But we're really going to be using him, just like I said before, for the token generation, repeated token generation. Then we have Sorin, Solemn Visitor. He can +1 to give your creatures +1/+1 lifelink. That's whatever. And then he can -2 to give us a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying, which is very nice. Now, this is one of the emblems we actually want to get out, is Solemn's Emblem. Solemn's Emblem lets us give... we get an emblem with, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. It just goes more along with our theme. If we get it, it's awesome. If we don't, he can still continue to spit out creatures, and that's really what we want. And then lastly, we have Vraska the Unseen. She's a 5-cost Planeswalker with 5 loyalty, and she can +1 to until your next turn. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. Pretty much just makes it so nobody really wants to hurt her, unless they're going to kill her too. And then she can -3 to destroy a target non-black creature. And then she can -7 to put 3 1/1 black assassin creature tokens on the battlefield with, when one of these creatures hit you, you lose the game. She's mostly in there for the ability to, sorry, she doesn't destroy target non-black creature. She destroys target non-land permanent. I don't know why I even bothered saying non-black creature. I think I just have black removal stuck in my head. She's mostly in there for that, too. We're just going to keep +1ing her and +1ing her to make her almost protected by herself. And then we're going to keep -3 to destroy their permanents. And that's really a great ability. The fact that she has a slightly less good Vindicate on a stick is just awesome. As far as the colors, it's pretty well split up between the 3. Nice balance. And as far as balance of the deck type of cards, it's actually fairly balanced between everything that isn't an enchantment. We're pretty heavy on enchantments, but a STAX deck does play with a lot of permanent control, as we said. And then, we curve pretty heavily into 3 and then slowly curve down. So once you get to turn 5, you're almost at the point where you can cast 2 spells a turn. But yeah, that's more or less this STAX deck. This was requested by Sterling Knight, and hope you guys like it. Hope you guys get some ideas from it. But I am Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming. Thanks a lot. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you guys later.